You are welcome to Messiah Revelation Ministry. In today's video, we are discussing a question. The question is, did the American founding fathers initiate a covenant with God? If so, what is the contents of the covenant that the founders of United States, the founding fathers, what did they covenant with God? And another question we're asking is, when would that covenant manifest? What year, what time? Are we at the time that the covenant that the founding fathers had with God, are we in the year or the time when the covenant will materialize? I'm doing this video in response to comments or prophecies made by Prophet Sadhu Sundar Severaj. Sadhu Sundar Severaj is a prophet from India, and he has made a lot of proclamations regarding President Trump and also regarding the future of the United States. And he made so many claims that he had revelations from heaven. So we are answering those questions. Did the American founding fathers have a covenant with God? And if they did, what is the nature of the covenant? Before I continue, I will say that Prophet Sadhu Sundar Severaj has categorically stated that he doesn't know anything about American politics, and assume that he also doesn't know much about American history, particularly the occult history of the United States. So if he's talking about a covenant that the founding fathers of the United States had with God, and if he's also talking about the fact that that covenant will materialize during the time that President Trump is in his second term, then I assume that he got that information from revelation. Was the revelation from God, or was it from any other source? Let's continue. Sadhu Sundar Severaj has said on several occasions that he was invited to heaven, and on several occasions he met with Father Abraham. He also met with some of the founding fathers of the United States in heaven. And in his recent commentary before the 2020 American presidential election, he said he was invited to heaven and he saw Neville Johnson. Neville Johnson was a prophet from Canada who used to work with Sadhu. He has died recently, and Sadhu is saying that he met Neville Johnson in heaven. Sadhu is saying that he met President George Washington, first American president, in heaven. And according to Sadhu, George Washington is a godly man. And so let's look at it. Apart from revelation, we can get information, of course, from the Bible. And if you look into the Bible, most people will agree that America is not specifically stated in the Bible, even though I believe that the book of Revelation, chapter 18, that talks about Babylon, refers to the United States, because the U.S. at this time is the only country that fits the description of Babylon as reported in the book of Revelation. Sadhu Sundar Severaj said that America is not the Babylon spoken of in the book of Revelation. According to Sadhu, the Lord has revealed to him that it will be the Antichrist who will build Babylon, and it will be in Iraq, where the old Babylon used to be. Before we go into our discussion on the founding fathers of the United States and whether they had a covenant with God, I will say that I recommend this book. The title of the book is Sinister Forces, a Grimoire of American Political Witchcraft. This book was published in 2005 by a gentleman named Peter Lavender. It has 3 volumes. It is a well-researched book, 3 volumes. They are very big, and he has a lot of information based upon extensive travel and research, and he analyzes the occult history of America. And since Sadhu is saying George Washington is a godly man, or was a godly man, and he saw him in heaven, let's look at the biography of George Washington, the first president of the United States. According to Peter Lavender, the book I'm showing you, George Washington was a member of the Freemason. According to Lavender, George Washington in his letters referred to the Illuminati. Page 301 of this book states that George Washington, the first president of the United States, was a member of the Freemason. And if you look at the history of the United States, the U.S. got independence in 1776, and it was at this time that the Illuminati was founded. So you can Google on the Illuminati and the Freemason and see the year that the Illuminati was founded, whether it was founded in the same year when the United States got independence. George Washington was a member of the Freemason, as well as other members of the so-called founding fathers of the United States. Therefore, the Masonic Society had a role to play in the founding of the United States, and we are not sure where their allegiance was and whether they had a covenant with God, as Sadhu, Sundar, Severaj wants us to believe. If you look at the American dollar bill, you see the sign, the New World Order sign on it, and the symbol of the Illuminati on the American dollar. And on the American dollar, you also see, of course, you can see that in God we trust, and at the same time you also see occult symbols on the American dollar. So where was the allegiance of the founding fathers of the United States? Was it to the Illuminati and the Freemason, or was it to God? And a lot of research also have concluded that the presidents of the United States who have been members of the Freemasons have also appointed judges to the Supreme Court who are also members of the Freemason. It was as a result of the appointment of Freemason judges to the Supreme Court by Freemason American president that led to a concentration of Freemason judges on the Supreme Court, and it resulted in a decision in 1962 where the Supreme Court of the United States decided that it would be unconstitutional to say the Lord's Prayer in public schools and mention the name of the Lord in public schools. So you can see that the Freemason has infiltrated the American institutions, and even the construction of United States Capitol, Washington, D.C., the White House, the Capitol Hill, and other public buildings. You can see Freemason architecture all over the place. So I will encourage Sadhu, Sundar, Severaj to also do research about American history, particularly America's occult history, and the covenant that the American founding fathers signed, whether they signed it with God or whether they signed it with the Illuminati. there is a book written on the skull and bones, and those who have done research on the skull and bones, you know that it's a secret society that emerged from Yale University and Ivy League school in the United States. And according to that book, Skull and Bones, at least 13 members of American presidents have been members of the Skull and Bones, which is a secret and I would say occult society. 13 out of American presidents, and President Trump is number 45. So so you can see, I believe it's 15. You can see that at least 15 members, 1/3 of American presidents, and have been members of the Skull and Bones, which is one of the many secret societies in the United States. And George Walker Bush, the first Bush, a graduate of Yale University, is well known to be a member of the Skull and Bones and became a president of the United States. And I told you about the American dollar and the symbol of the Illuminati, the New World Order on the American dollar bill. So the founding fathers had an agenda to establish a new world order, and during the time of President Bush, Bush number 1, he articulated the new world order. And according to my research, George Bush Sr. made a statement before the U.S. Congress on September 11, 1991 regarding the New World Order. So Bush was articulating the New World Order, an agenda which the founding fathers initiated. So September 11, 1991, Bush, president, makes a statement before U.S. Congress about the New World Order. 10 years later, on September 11, 2001, the son of President Bush also becomes a president of the United States. And you remember September 11, 2001, 9/11 was the time where Al-Qaeda bombed the Twin Towers in the United States, which became the major terrorist attack in the United States. Peter Lavender, in this book, Sinister Forces, he concludes that the September 11 attack on the United States was nothing but a spiritual warfare between occult forces in the United States, in Western societies, fighting with occult forces in the Middle East. So the war was not just a war about terrorism, but a spiritual war between occult forces controlling the American political institutions and occult forces within the Arab society, of course, including an Al-Qaeda, which Peter Lavender considers to be an occult institution, an institution dominated by occult rituals. Let's look at Trump then. Is Trump a member of any secret society? I cannot say that because I'm not sure. But you have to remember that anytime a new president is inaugurated in the United States, there's a special ceremony by the Freemason, and those who have been members of the Freemason, will be able to testify to that. Sadhu Sundar Severaj claims that Trump is like a Cyrus. He also claims that Trump is like Esther. He is a person that God has chosen to restore Israel and to make America great again and to bring America to righteousness. Sadhu Sundar Severaj also said that when he was invited to heaven, he saw Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ was weeping for Trump because Jesus told Sadhu Sundar Severaj that Donald Trump is his man. It's a godly man that the Lord himself has chosen. And Sadhu Sundar Severaj implied that Trump will win the second term, and he asked Christians to pray for him for 21 days to fulfill God's will. Make America great again is God's will, and it is not just a political mantra, it's a divine mantra according to Sadhu Sundar Severaj. Sadhu Sundar Severaj said that the founding fathers of the United States made a covenant with God, and the time for the manifestation of the covenant will be the time when President Trump is in his second term. So based upon the analysis I've made, you can see that the founding fathers of the America, a large proportion of them were members of the secret society, and you have also noted that the Illuminati, a secret occult society, was founded in 1776 at the time of Americans' independence. You will also notice that the occult symbol, the New World Order, is on the American dollar bill. And because Sadhu Sundar Severaj has talked about Trump, let's look at the spiritual identity of Donald Trump. I've already said in a vision I had on July 20th, 2018, I was shown in a vision Donald Trump signing the secret satanic New World Order, which is a precursor to the initiation of the New World Order, which is the government of the Antichrist. 2020 elections came, and President-elect Biden came on the world stage, and Trump refused to concede. The impression that people have gotten is that Trump is against the New World Order. He's fighting those trying to install the New World Order, and of course he is godly. Totally is wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. And I'm tactically surprised that Sadhu Sundar Severaj, a prophet of God, has not seen Donald Trump as part of the satanic New World Order. So what type of covenant did the founding fathers of the United States initiate with God? What type of covenant? Was it the New World Order? Is the New World Order God's, is it on God's agenda? Does it promote the kingdom of heaven on earth? Does the government of the Antichrist promote the kingdom of heaven on earth? And why is it that it's only during the time of Donald Trump that the covenant the founding fathers of America had will materialize? These are the questions we have to ask ourselves, and you have to ask Sadhu, what covenant did the founding fathers of the United States initiate with God? And if there was a covenant like that, how do you explain the Illuminati symbol on American dollar bill? How do you explain the fact that George Washington, George Washington, who was the first president of America, was also a member of the Freemason, and according to research, George Washington wore his Freemason regalia garment to his inauguration. He was boastful of the fact that he was a Masonic and he was a member of the Freemason, and he is the man that Sadhu Sundar Severaj claims that he saw in heaven, and he's one of those guys that Sadhu Sundar Severaj is saying that they initiated a covenant with God, and the covenant will materialize when Donald Trump is re-elected. It is on this basis that Sadhu Sundar Severaj organized a 21-day fast for Donald Trump to be re-elected the second time, so that the covenant that the founding fathers of the United States initiated for the United States will materialize. Matthew chapter 24 verse 4 warns us that we should not let any man deceive us. And you can see that if any person is a member of a secret society, such as George Washington, one, they pledge allegiance to a God who is not the God who created the heavens and earth. And they also perform rituals, and those rituals are pagan rituals that are condemned in the book of Deuteronomy. And they also do things in secret. That's why we call them secret societies. And Jesus is saying that we should let our light shine before men. Members of Illuminati and Freemason, including George Washington, who was the first president of the United States, they do things in secret. And they say secret oaths. They pledge allegiance through secret oaths to Lucifer, and they don't pledge allegiance to the Lord who created heaven and earth. And so where is the covenant that the founding fathers had of the United States, and how will Sadhu, Sundar, Severaj explain that? So this video is a rebuke of Sadhu, Sundar, Severaj, insofar as he claims that the founding fathers of the United States had a covenant with God, and the covenant will materialize only when Donald Trump is in office for the second time. And this video is also a rebuke of the so-called Trump prophecies, which are professed by so many people, including Pat Robertson, a transvangelist in the United States, who also said that Trump will be re-elected, and after that, then there will be a civil war, and after that, there will be a war between Israel and the Arab nations, and then there will be destruction. Watch this video and let no person deceive you. Test all spirits, including those who claim that they have visited heaven and the Lord has spoken to them. 1 John chapter 4 verse 1 enjoins us, encourages us to test all spirits. I'm not attacking any God's servant, because some people rely on the doctrine, biblical doctrine, don't touch man anointed. It is only when the anointed is a true anointed of God. And Paul even said that even if an angel comes and preach a gospel different from what we have preached, let that angel be accursed, is Galatians chapter 1 verse 8. Thank you for watching this video as we ponder about Sadhu, Sundar, Severaj and his statement that the founding fathers of the United States had a special covenant with God, and that covenant will mature only when Donald Trump is a president for the second time. Please hit the notification button so you'll be alerted when we put any future videos. Thank you.